All right, so we know that the World War III bill passed over the weekend through the House, through the Senate yesterday, and then got the signature of the president today. But that's not all that was in it. On top of war, you also have censorship. Of course, the Biden platform is war, inflation, censorship. Those are the three pillars of his campaign.
Yeah.
That's his reelection pitch to America. The Senate passed legislation Tuesday that would force TikTok's China based parent company to sell the social media platform under the threat of a ban, a contentious move by U.S. lawmakers that's expected to face legal challenges and disrupt the lives of content creators who rely on the short form video app for income. The TikTok legislation was included as part of a larger $95 billion package that provides foreign aid to Ukraine and Israel and was passed 79-18. It now goes to President Joe Biden, who said in a statement immediately after passage that he will sign it Wednesday today, as he has. A decision made by House Republicans last week to attach the TikTok bill to the high priority package helped expedite its passage in Congress and came after negotiations with the Senate, where an earlier version of the bill has stalled. That version had given TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, 6 months to divest its stakes in the platform, but it drew skepticism from some key lawmakers concerned it was too short of a window for a complex deal that could be worth tens of billions of dollars. The revised legislation extends the deadline, giving ByteDance 9 months to sell TikTok and a possible 3-month extension if a sale is in progress. The bill would also bar the company from controlling TikTok's secret sauce, the algorithm that feeds users videos based on their interests and has made the platform a trend-setting phenomenon. TikTok did not immediately return a request for comment on Tuesday night. The passage of the legislation is a culmination of long-held bipartisan fears in Washington over Chinese threats and the ownership of TikTok, which is used by 170 million Americans. For years, lawmakers and administration officials have expressed concerns that the Chinese authorities could force ByteDance to hand over U.S. user data or influence Americans by suppressing or promoting certain content on TikTok. Keyword there, promoting, right? So they're not just worried about censorship, they're worried about what content actually gets promoted based on engagement and appreciation through the algorithm. Congress is not acting to punish ByteDance, TikTok, or any other individual company, Senate Commerce Committee Chairwoman Maria Cantwell said. Congress is acting to prevent foreign adversaries from conducting espionage, surveillance, maligned operations, harming vulnerable Americans, our servicemen and women, and our U.S. government personnel. And of course, today, President Biden signs law to ban TikTok nationwide in case it's sold. So once again, the most important word of this article here is promoting. Promoting. They're not just interested in what you won't be able to say on TikTok. They're interested in what you will be able to say unless your short form videos are subject to the approval of, say, Mark Zuckerberg over on Instagram. They want to close TikTok because they don't trust the Chinese to censor in the same way that Zuckerberg would, because the Chinese support a ceasefire. The Chinese support a Palestinian state. And so they don't trust this technology in the hands of an adversary who might expose the moral bankruptcy of America and of the West. And if you had any doubts about this, let's go to some audio from the ADL chair, Jonathan Greenblatt, which leaked a while back, saying it out loud on the phone.
I also want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States in support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Tagli, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing innovations, need to put our energy toward this accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Lastly, I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, they flipped like this and went to like Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because our analysts are in their groups. We saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like the language in their toolkits was all about the Zionist entity and lots of other language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
So Nick was talking about this earlier, how you can get a lot of perspective on America from hearing the media from foreign adversaries, right? And that piece of audio was posted by Suleiman Ahmed. The real reason President Biden wants to ban TikTok: we have a major TikTok problem, as you heard in the piece. That is leaked audio of ADL's Jonathan Greenblatt losing it because the youth aren't buying Israel's propaganda anymore. So you hear it from him. You see the bill is now signed. But let's hear some of the fear-mongering at work here. This is Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts, which is a great name. That's a hilarious name, Pete Ricketts. Here he is talking about why he supports the TikTok ban.
Look what's happening at our college campuses right now in this country. Pro-Hamas activists are taking over public spaces and making it impossible for campuses to operate. Jewish students are being told to leave campus because their universities can't guarantee their safety. There are a lot of other things wrong with this, including the failure to prioritize student safety over appeasement of terrorist sympathizers. But why is this happening? Well, let's look at where young people are getting their news. Nearly a third of adults 18 to 29, these young people in the U.S., are regularly getting their news exclusively from TikTok. Pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas hashtags are generating 50 times the views on TikTok right now, despite the fact that polling shows Americans overwhelmingly support Israel over Hamas. These videos have more reach than the top 10 U.S. news websites combined.
Wow.
This is not coincidence.
Wow.
The Chinese...
No, it's not coincidence. It's not coincidence at all. That ought to tell you something about the quality of media in this country, but it doesn't, not to an idiot like him. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is why they want to ban TikTok here. And this is why our generation didn't fall for it, because for the first time ever, we got information from both sides. We grew up hearing the Zionist perspective, and then people pretend this issue was complicated when it's not. It's an issue of colonialism. It's an issue of apartheid. It's an issue of our taxpayer money literally funding war crimes, funding a genocide which is illegal based under the Leahy's law. So, but despite all of this, they want to convince us that this is somehow legit and legal. And young people, despite older generations falling for it, it never made sense to us at face value. Like there's no point where we was buying it. That's why since the beginning of me being a citizen journalist, this has been one of the top issues I covered on RBN. Now, for the first time ever, the Zionists is losing the battle of public opinion, and now people are seeing their real fascist tendencies being revealed. The quote-unquote most persecuted minority ever get immediate congressional hearings, get entire whole ass social media apps canceled and banned. It's absurd. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, we'll let this finish.
The Communist Party is doing this on purpose. They are pushing this racist agenda with the intention of undermining our democratic values. And if you look at what's happening at Columbia University and other campuses across the country right now, they're winning.
Yeah. So that tells you everything you need to know, does it not? And what a role they are on this week. Very dark times. War and censorship passed together. And they're so proud of themselves, if you notice. If you notice, Democrats and Republicans really getting along very nicely this week. Nancy Pelosi in her speech says, I want to commend Speaker Jeffries. I want to commend, Leader Jeffries and Speaker Johnson for coming together and getting things done. They love each other now. That's why Ro Khanna said he would support Mike Johnson if the Republicans tried to file a motion to vacate. They're getting along great, and they're acting as if this is evidence of the system working when it's the exact opposite. They are coming together to pass legislation that the vast majority of Americans does not want. The vast majority of Americans does not want to spend $60 billion more on Ukraine. The vast majority of Americans oppose Israel's actions in Gaza now. Latest major poll on this issue had support for their operations at 36%. That's miserable considering we're talking about Israel and America, right? Most Americans do not want to see TikTok banned. Half the country's on fucking TikTok. 170 million people in America have TikTok accounts. Yet these Democrats and these Republicans are so proud of themselves and their system that they are able to, usurp the will of the people. They are gloating about the fact that they got this bill passed that no one wants. And we haven't seen this kind of unity in Washington in 20 years. Not since the post 9/11 days have we seen Democrats and GOPers in such harmony. It's really, this week, I was out canvassing for Jose Vega while this bill passed through the House, and that's when everybody knew it was a done deal. And, I'm out there trying to get voters to sign up for a post-duopoly campaign. And as that's happening, I start to feel good about what's going on. You have a little rush, right? A little boost of morale. And then you see on your phone, House passes $95 billion war bill and a TikTok ban. And look how happy they are. It's really disgusting. I mean, what dystopian times and what a dystopian week this has been.
Yeah. We're seeing the ruling class preparing to launch never-ending global war while crushing the dissent that they are expecting to come from the newer generation and the people turned off by government action. This is Congress passing this action, funding never-ending wars, a Congress that has a 13% approval rating, my friends. Can you imagine if you was a cashier and you had a 13% approval rating with your customers? If you was a server at a restaurant, only 13% of your customers was happy. These are the people who are smugly making these decisions and believe they're smugly superior and believe they can give all your money to Israel and war, and they have your democratic dissent doesn't matter. What are they going to do? They're going to build cop cities to crush the dissent. Instead, they are busy blowing the police budgets, cracking down on social media censorship, and expanding the power of the intelligence agencies to crack down on Americans that are going to rebel against this government that is rendering itself illegitimate.
Please clap.